Welcome back to America's Retirement Headquarters, home of the Retirement Guys formula and America's Medicare Associates with Nolan Baker and Chaz Price. 419-794-3030 is the phone number. The website, arhq.com. Kind of want to continue what we were talking about earlier. A lot of Americans plan to work longer because, well, they don't think they're financially ready for retirement. A new Transamerica survey shows 55% plan to work after they retire, and 15% expect their primary source of retirement income to come from working. Here's Carrie Hannon with Yahoo Finance.
The number one reason people say that they plan to work in retirement in some fashion is because they're concerned about Social Security not being enough. The second reason is because they're worried they're not going to have enough income, enough savings in order to support their lifestyle in a comfortable way. And the third reason is to pay for health expenses, which you and I know is going to be a huge ticket item as people grow older.
Now, if clients come to you guys with this pressure, with this stress on them, and were you able to help turn it around?
Yeah, really, I think it's a fair question. Is it better to retire or keep working? And I think it all comes down to, again, making some really smart decisions. So there's a couple things that I would say. First of all, in that segment that Carrie talked about, she mentioned the fact of Social Security not being enough. But we can't stress enough the importance of making the correct decision on how to get the most lifetime income with your Social Security benefits. In our earlier segment that we talked about, when we went over what is the biggest source of retirement income, what we talked about is the fact that Social Security, according to the Social Security Administration, is one of the biggest sources of income, providing roughly 37% of a typical retiree's income. So you've got to get that decision right. I recently talked with a guy named John. John's still working, and he was going to go ahead and he wanted to take Social Security so he could kind of stockpile some money so he had enough of an extra cushion, if you would. Now, in his situation, the problem was he had not reached full retirement age. And so if he did select to take Social Security early and he made more than roughly about $21,000, which is a substantial earnings number, he would start to face significant reductions in his benefits, and taking it early may not be his best approach. I also think about when we talk a lot about retirement or keep working, it comes down to lifestyle. It comes down to enjoyment. I know, as an example, I'm very actively involved, as most of our listeners know, with Hooves, where we use rescue horses to rescue veterans with post-traumatic stress. There's a great guy, and he serves on our grant committee. His name is Randy. Randy's a retiree, but he's taking the skills that he's spent a lifetime, and learned, and he's using that now to help, save our veterans, to help find those funds that are out there, because he still found something passionate about. He feels like he's using the skills of what he got, but he didn't need the financial resources because as a nonprofit, our budgets are kind of tight. We appreciate people like Randy. We appreciate people, and we want people to still be active, whether you're working or retired. You got to find something that you want to do. Scott's not here today. I know, Chaz, you're taking care of him, but one of the things that Scott and I did is we went out with one of his clients who's retired, but he's a fishing boat captain out on Lake Erie. Mm-hmm. And I tell you what, I think I could be a fishing boat captain out on Lake Erie. I could be a fishing boat captain down in Florida. That would be something, that I just find enjoyment about. And it would put a little extra money in my pocket. In retirement time, I would have no problem. In fact, I know you were recently at Put-in-Bay. I don't know that I would do it at Put-in-Bay. It's a little too hectic for me, but you could put me down in Jupiter, Florida, and I'd work all day at the pool or the tiki bar and get some sun and fun and listen to some Jimmy Buffett music and then, enjoy the beach crashing down in the background. And, that would be another way to get a little bit more income. So when I look at it, again, when I'm looking at helping coach advise somebody on whether they should retire or keep working, it comes down to financial resources. Do you have enough? It also comes down to your health and wellness. Mm-hmm. And it comes down to, if you're going to retire, what does that look like, and how are you going to spend that extra time, are kind of the different areas that I go through talking to people about.
Yeah, I agree. I think that would be the biggest thing to decide is what your financial situation is, what your goals are, but also how burned out or how stressed out you are about work. I mean, that's probably the number one issue that I would have. And we do have a lot of I personally have a lot of automotive workers, and that's hard work, standing on your feet and things like that. And so we have some first responders jumping in and out of fire trucks their whole life. it's not. You're not going to be able to do that for a long period of time. So that's something to think about too, is the career that you were in and your health situation and how long you're willing to do it. And so, but beyond that, I think just in general, there are some advantages and some disadvantages to maybe deciding when during the year you might decide to retire. So retiring during, the earlier months of the year may be a better tax situation because it would give you less income for the year technically. You may also be able to take advantage of those vacation payouts that we talked about earlier, take advantage of the healthcare FSA, whereas retiring at the very end of the year could be beneficial if you lack the reserves or the cash flow to, cover your living expenses while you're in retirement. So that may also play into the aspect of getting the COLAs. So every year, hopefully every year, Social Security looks at what the cost of living is, and they give the Social Security recipients a cost of living adjustment. And so if you retire later in the year, that might benefit you in a sense because you're going to be able to qualify, get a jump start on those cost of living adjustments. So, but regardless of whatever age you decide to retire, it is important that you talk to a financial advisor because around your 59s and 60-year-olds, there are a lot of things that need to happen. Social Security collection strategies. We need to talk about Medicare decision making. If Scott was here, he'd talk about how busy that 65-year-old year is for a lot of folks. And so just be aware of the age that you start withdrawing money from your retirement accounts as well. We don't want you to incur any penalties or additional unnecessary fees or anything like that. So I agree. Yeah, there's a lot that goes into that decision, but more so than it has historically been. I think it's trying to strike that work, non-work life balance with your health and family, and being able to put meaning behind the money and why you're retiring, not just retiring hopefully because you can't take it anymore. It's because you've got a plan in place.
Perhaps you're in a situation where you love your job. We certainly hope that is the case, where you do enjoy your job and you have no plan on retiring, or maybe you're just waiting until you have enough saved up before you can clock out for the last time. Either way you go about it, you need to have a plan in place to hopefully give you a better outlook on things. If you've got a good plan in place and you'll be okay to retire, it might make go into that job every day a little bit more bearable. Or at the same time, you know that if their situation does arise where there are layoffs or, heaven forbid, health situations or whatever, and you have to step back, you're going to be okay all the same. It just comes back to having that plan to fall back on, and maybe you never have to utilize it, but you don't know until you schedule a time to speak with them and start developing that plan. The team at America's Retirement Headquarters, let them put their combined 50-plus years of experience to work for you. 419-794-3030 is how you go about doing it, or go to arhq.com.